let me answer this question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, to an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is their
right.
Yes. A right, the right that someone has. All our rights exist in context.
What is the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you're disrespecting the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you seem to do, you're just dealing with Afro-Guyanese issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a vision, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Pleasant Wednesday evening to you. This is the Freddie Kissoon Show for Wednesday, the 10th of June, 2026. Alongside me, of course, is our long-standing co-host, Leonard Craig, who is becoming very controversial like me. As you can see, he put a jumbie lash on the former Minister of Public Works in the APNU AFC government in his last Monday column. What's his name? What's the name that you put the lash on it?
Well, whatever.
David Patterson, former Minister of Public Works. You should read Monday's column in the Chronicle. As you can see, full in the background is one of Guyana's iconic sites, the Kissoon Bridge. And millions, not hundreds of thousands, millions of people the past 100 years would have traversed that bridge. Lovers, married people, single individuals. But anyway, let's get on with the show. We did some check-in 2 years ago. Well, maybe more than 2 years ago, but it's easy to find out the viewership of a program because it's inbuilt. And if you check Facebook and YouTube, when Craig and I are rapping, we do get a lot of viewers. So maybe we'll do this more often. But there's so much to talk about that we could do this rapping twice weekly. So I'll start by asking Craig a question. And I'd like his analytical mind to roam over this question. Every time Norton opens his mouth and there is no PNC reaction to Norton, it makes you sad because it makes you feel the inevitable is coming. And I believe the inevitable is coming, and I believe there are moves ahead in the next 2 years to form a replacement, not a direct replacement for the PNC, not a direct replacement for WIN, which I believe is going to fizzle out, but a major opposition party is going to come up to fill the vacuum of the PNC and WIN. And I think that is coming because look at Norton's recent interview with Kadaki Amsterdam in a podcast called Cams TV. It's really a podcast like this. It's not a TV show. What Norton had to say and the absence of PNC's reaction to that tells the story of inevitable death. I'll ask Craig the question just now, but let me tell you about some of the dimensions of that interview. One, he is going to be around as leader the next 3 years. He said the Congress will be postponed, and at the Congress is this year. And at the next Congress, he will run for the leadership. That will take you to 3 years from now. And read between the lines, he said he would not contest the presidential candidacy for the PNC in 2030. He never said, I'm not going to be around. So he's going to be around, But like 2025, he's not going to contest. And people cannot see this is damaging the PNC every day. People are losing faith in it. And it seems from the non-reaction of Greenwich, Carl Greenwich, Joe Harmon, Hamilton Green, all of them, Granger, it seems that they have said, look, let it be. And that is sad. I mean, if the PNC is going to stay alive, it has to be now. And they have to have someone to replace Norton. Look and watch it, Norton's interview. Norton is just putting some serious jumbie lashes on his own party, and you don't survive a jumbie lash. The PNC isn't going to survive. So my question to Leonard, do you think the PNC stalwarts like Granger, do you think they've just given up when they see what Norton is doing? Do you think they just said, so be it, man, the die is cast?
My feeling on this is that the PNC is a historic party. And
historic things do die though.
Historic creatures of that nature don't die easily. Sometimes you pass and you see an old tree somewhere, it fall down, and even though the tree fall down, it grows.
Stem still
yeah, and it lives. And I think the PNC, there is something in social science that's called a critical mass. I don't think the PNC has lost its critical mass just yet. There is still some hope. If we follow the Aubrey Norton plan, as you outlined and as Aubrey Norton outlined in that program, I think they are in danger of losing that critical mass. And then once you lose the critical mass, then you can only go downhill from there. But I think the critical mass has not been lost just yet. And the PNC can still reinvent itself. But from all that we know, it does not seem as though Aubrey Norton is the man for the job. I don't know who, but I am going here based on evidence that is out there. The historical record doesn't seem to suggest that Aubrey Norton is the person. As you have outlined, it may take some stalwarts, the Gary Besses, the Joe Harmon, maybe even Basil Williams, Roysdale Forde, and some other young people to actually just pool their resources, their energies, and say, look, we are not going to allow this historic party to go down. We are not going to trust ourselves in leadership, but we want to rescue. And I think that is one way out. And it might be the only viable way out, because as long as things remain as they are, Aubrey Norton will cease power in the party, because as leader now he could postpone the Congress. And then if sometimes what you do when Congresses are postponed, you test the waters. You send out, statements. You get statements be made and you hear what people say and get a feel. And once he get the feeling that, hey, look, they're coming after me, he can just prolong, because the leadership crew that he has now are sycophants, and they are going to preserve him in power if he chooses to postpone the Congress, because they themselves are going to feel if they challenge Norton will get rid of them before the Congress. Right? Norton will do something to silence or get rid of them before the Congress. So they are going to continue, and they are going to give him a mandate and allow him to push and postpone the Congress. And then they're going to go so close to election that the fight is not going to be for who is leader. The question is going to be who is presidential candidate, and everybody's attention will turn on that, and Norton will just continue to slip in. I believe that that is the formula, that's the way Norton is going to go. Or he's going to contest again when he's certain that he got his hands on the leadership, the hands on the Congress, and that he's going to win. And that formula, I don't feel optimistic about that formula. I feel more optimistic that the stalwarts come in, they bring in some new people, some new blood, go out, recruit new people, fresh political faces, and try to start over. And as I said, history doesn't suggest that Aubrey Norton has it in him. That is how I view the entire thing. But at the end of the day, it's all up to the movers and shakers inside of the PNC. I don't know what decision, and I don't see anybody among the current executive and so on who will challenge Norton. The only person I see with kind of fighting spirit might be Darren Wade, but I don't see that Darren Wade has that appetite to come up against Norton and say, Norton, I can take this thing from here. The other option I see to rescue the PNC is that the PNC got to tell itself and remember that its founder was in his 20s when he founded the party. Cheddy Jagan was in his 20s as well when he founded the PPP. And put some faith in some very, very young people. Like establish a committee of elders, something that they have such a committee, but reconstitute it with energetic people who are going to like chaperone young people and just hand the party over to a group of young people and try to infuse the Burnhamite, I'm not saying go
Spirit?
back to Burnham policy.
The Burnhamite stimulus?
Yes, Burnham.
Burnhamite optimism.
Optimism, right.
Yeah.
So and remember, our founder was in his 20s when he formed this party, and the party grew to be a strong party. Why a young person? Maybe, well, Darren Wade is not in his 20s, but why not a Darren Wade? Why not a, they got this young Corbyn boy, this lawyer, I think he's a lawyer, young Corbyn guy. I don't know who.
Related to the former leader?
I heard somebody say, I'm not sure, I don't know. But I don't know who, right? But all I am saying that I see that as another way out for the PNC. Otherwise, the Norton plan, I don't think it's leading anywhere.
Okay, I want your thoughts on Granger. Granger was visiting the diaspora, and at a diasporic PNC party meeting, I think it was in either New Jersey or New York.
Recently?
No, that was before. That was before the elections.
Mm-hmm.
In 2015. He said he had decades of membership within the PNC. This guy was head of the army. This guy was president of Guyana. And this gentleman has 4 foundations in Burnham's name in his former civilian house at Durban Backlands opposite the Culture Center. You mean to tell me with that kind of political richness vis-a-vis the PNC, that man is not looking on at what is going on in a party? He said he held membership for decades. In a party when in government he was made the head of the Guyana Defense Force. And as the party head became president of Guyana, I mean, he is just so silent.
I think the way in which the party lost the election.
Granger feels guilty and he don't want to.
No, I think the people who signed on with Aubrey Norton feels alienated from Granger, and I feel they feel some kind of repulsion towards him. And for Granger to make a mark on the party, he got to have a reception. And I don't think in the current construction of the PNC, there is a reception for any idea from Granger, right? Because...
right. So he's not the one to start the rejuvenation process.
Right, it can't be him. All right, he could be among others, but it can't be him taking leadership. Those days for Granger are gone. And under the current construct, I don't think Granger has an opening to get back. I don't even think Granger could probably, maybe he might be, but not with full welcome, even past the gate at Congress Place.
Yeah, I mean they felt his 5-year presidency was really the lowest in terms of presidential output.
Right.
Leonard, I mean no disrespect to Mr. Granger. I have to do my work. I'm a trained academic. I don't think Mr. Granger was any corrupt president. I don't think Mr. Granger was, furiously intolerant and locking up people and dismissing people and jailing people. But Mr. Granger was the most non-performing, lackluster president within the CARICOM family of nations. I can tell you things that Granger, could have done for this country.
Yeah.
Something happened on that fateful day with Rupert Rupnarine and Robert Corbyn that resulted in Granger being the head of the PNC. But the second thing that happened tragically is when they decide to make him the presidential candidate. Now, I don't think they knew he would have been like that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew.
He would have
Right.
But I was thinking if they could not have done something very innovative for which a legacy would have been born and it would have gone down in the history books. After the second year when they see there was no transformation coming. In fact, there was nothing being done for African Guyanese. When he really got annoyed and told them, I don't want no amendment of that marijuana bill. Like that is which you don't have to get locked up for 1 gram. They all backed off. And I thought at that stage, they should have said, no, something wrong here. The man held a commission of inquiry in the public service, selected the people headed by former UG Vice Chancellor Howard Lachman, and the recommendation was that the retirement age of public servants is something that don't exist in the real world anymore, 55, when NIS pension is 60.
Yeah.
And that man never acted on it.
Not just that, quite a lot of things. And some was his own initiative.
Something is wrong with
For example, let me just give you another example. He formed the Ministry of Social Cohesion, which I believe
that was with Amna?
With Amna Ali as head, which I believe is similar to what Irfan Ali is trying to accomplish under One Guyana. That is the way I saw it. If you're going to name a social cohesion ministry, you have got to make that ministry impactful to reach out to the other side of the aisle.
It wasn't.
So it was just a ministry in name. And those very people who sat and saw Granger created a ministry that was intended or should have been intended to reach over to the other side and bring people together. And it didn't have the name One Guyana, but essentially that was the idea. And to see that Granger had none action on it, and then come now and say, oh, Irfan Ali on One Guyana, and Irfan in thing and Guyana in this and Guyana in that, and you see in Irfan Ali making concerted effort on every day to fulfill that One Guyana dream. Every day he mightn't get it right 100% down to every crossing every T and I and dotting every I, But you see him visibly daily making an effort, going into community, spreading the message of One Guyana. Visibly, you can see it. You can see it's a passion. Granger created the ministry and just sat on it. You understand what I'm saying? And those things, but back to your question and your comment, is that I don't think that the people who empowered Granger and caused him to be leader could have done anything, because Granger did something, to his credit, very smart. As soon as he got into power, he asserted himself under the Constitution.
And said, I am directing things, I'm the president.
Yes, I am the president, I have the constitutional power to do it. And quite forcefully, he established his fingerprint on it.
I'll come back to that, but let me give you an example where Granger had to know about that methodology before, and he used it. When Hite came into power, there were some grumblings within the party that they can tell Hite and tell Hite that. Hite said he don't want the dialogue between Jagan, the PNC and PPP to continue, which is what Bonham started. And the PNC made some noise, and Granger said, I am the president. I don't want this dialogue to continue. And that was the end of it. That was the end of it. The second example was the rabbi. Hite really wanted to crucify the rabbi. This was a man who solved the PNC, who solved Burnham. Hite was there to see how close Burnham was. And Granger Hite humiliated him, charged him for murder. You can't get bail. Remanded him, then jailed him. A man who served
did a lot of dirty tricks to the PNC.
Served Burnham. And there was some Green and a few others who say, no, you can't do that. You know what Granger said? What Hite said? I am the president. The investigations told me that he did A, B, C, D. Let the law take its course. Hite said that, and everybody shut up. That Granger had to know, because he was in the army. He had to know how Hite was behaving, and Granger did exactly that.
And from day one, he asserted his constitutional right, even with the agreement, the Commonsburg Accord that they had with the AFC, right? There were certain things that the president could have allowed to happen. There are certain things that the president could have, work around. But the president, what he did from day one is establish him president, right? Because, for example, let me just give you one example. The Commonsburg Accord said that the AFC will be responsible for the shaping of the government, like determining, obviously it says through discussion and dialogue, but the AFC should have determined the shape of government, meaning the number of ministries and what portfolio comes under the ministries, and in other words, AFC would have had a lot of say in doing that. From day one, David Granger established that he is president, he got a constitutional power, and it isn't happening.
The Commonsburg
and what he did, he already, from day one, Granger already had the ministries he wanted, and he just handed them out. He just said, this is that. And the only thing he did from the Commonsburg Accord, 4 ministries were identified that must be with the AFC. He acquiesced to that. But everything else with respect to that, from day one, he asserted his executive power on those things. And he continued to do that throughout. Even when he was making a mistake, he continued to do that. And I think so nobody else could have attempted anything to dissuade or to suppress that kind of thing in him.
You mentioned the name Darren Wade, and it's a good mention and it needs to be discussed. Do you know what happened to Darren Wade in March last year. Darren Wade was the official lawyer for the Adrian Young family, which was a generosity of the PNC to the Adrian Young family. In other words, the PNC told Wade, you know, look after the... And Wade did something that I don't want to name any, because I never for Norton sue me. Norton look like he wants to sue people. He threatened to sue that billionaire, Amir Ahmad. He sued Odessa Primus. Wade did something that was principle. Wade did something that was psychologically normal for human beings to do. And he got sidelined. Let me tell you what Wade did. And I'm sure Wade is remembering that. Wade witnessed the post-mortem on behalf of the Adriana Young family. And after the post-mortem with the Meet the Press, Wade said, I saw nothing, you know, nothing
untoward.
Not right. In other words, he endorsed what he saw. Do you know days after Wade was removed and Dexter Todd, who is being protéged by Norton, Dexter Todd became the Adrian Young family. But let me say on this program, I know Darren Wade. Darren Wade is a better lawyer than Dexter Todd, has a more active political mind than Darren Wade,
than Dexter Todd,
and is a more pleasant person that wins over people than right. And that guy was sidelined. And from there on, I think you see the Darren Wade thing slide in. And then Ben Chop put a lash on him. And Wade said he's going to sue Ben Chop. You see, there were things going on there. So I think you're right. Someone like Darren Wade or Roysdale Forde or a combination should start the thing. I'm going to hand over to you now by saying something which I don't know if the operators or you are going to smile. But Darren Wade has a kind of cotton resemblance to Burnham.
Might very well be.
Yeah.
Because he on his Facebook, I think he got Burnham's picture as his profile thing. And you know, sometimes when you glance at the side, you know that you had a thing.
It looks like Burnham.
You know, back in the days, you had a thing called Viewmaster. Yeah. You used to look through it and you see that thing and you press it and you turn and you could see pictures in it. But you had to squint your eyes. And if you squint your eyes and look at Burnham picture, you might very well see Darren Wade.
I want to tell you something now. I hope the book I call you have read it. I'm going to tell my viewers something, but before, let me address Darren Wade directly. Darren, you and me all right. You and me all right. I know you still got that photograph you and I took at the corner of Laluni and Vicinjan Road. Me and you all right. But I want to say this without, and I'm saying this in a friendly way. The biography of Burnham by Lyndon Lewis. Professor Lewis interviewed Burnham's daughter and she said her father told her he had 7 outside children. That means Burnham has...
Stop it, Freddie.
That means...
Stop it. All right, let's move on. The point has already been made. Darren Wade needs to look at his family tree. That's what you're trying to say?
Well, I don't know. Darren, I don't mean anything. You and I are all right. You and me are all right. But when I see you, you got a little cut like young Burnham.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, and Darren Wade is a truly affable guy. So maybe
he's a good-looking young man.
That is for them. That's for them to explore. We are just making discussion. We are analyzing. We're doing political thing. But ultimately, the PNC would have to.
But I believe Darren is on the wrong side of a certain man, and Dexter Todd is being pushed. But that's when you look at the two.
But I think Dexter Todd's introduction to politics is on the wrong foot.
It was a disaster.
Yeah, and just like the parliamentary lead of the APNU in Parliament right now, they've started out wrong. They've not started out conciliatory. They've not started out to win people on the other side. They jump right in with Norton's agenda and gone straight to pander to one side, pander to the captured, and that is not even, that's not even going to win back their support from Win. That is exactly why they walked away.
I don't think Darren Wade has an inviting personality. Listen, whether it's in Iceland, Afghanistan, the West Indies, the Maldives Island, anywhere, in politics, you have to have a personality that attracts people, and you have to be seen as someone who's inviting.
Yeah. Like a Mansa Walton this year.
The PPP is full of those people.
Yeah, yeah.
The PNC has its the WP in the early days. Oh my!
Yeah, surely.
Right. The
AFC when AFC started. Yeah.
Kemraj and Raphael, people like
Magnetic.
Rough. People like, you have to be like that, else you're not going to be successful. You've got to be like that.
And you're saying that Dexter Todd don't have that mojo?
No, that's my job. My job as an analyst. That's not, I mean, you, for some foreign reason, you brought up Darren Wade's name. But that guy and Roysdale Forde seem to be the people the PNC should be looking forward to. And those people can probably save the critical mass you're talking about.
But whatever it is, all I'm saying, I don't even know what the answer is. I'm just trying to put an interpretation and an analysis to it. But what I know, based again, whether you're academic or whether you're an analyst or whatever, the thing you have to go on is history, evidence, and data. The data, the evidence, and the history is suggesting that the Norton plan, as outlined on Kadaki Amsterdam's program, that the Norton plan just ain't gonna work. And that is what the evidence suggests, that's what the history suggests, and we can only go on that.
But do you know what the psychologists do in crime units around the world? They look at a person and they study, they profile them. I looked at that interview and I could tell you, Kadaki Amsterdam, the interviewer, was trying to bring out things in Norton that I think Norton was not successful in negotiating. And at one time, Norton didn't answer the thing about when is the Congress. And Amsterdam said, but when is the Congress? And you could see, if you study psychology, Amsterdam is concerned.
Yes.
Amsterdam is concerned.
They did a follow-up interview last night or the night before sometime. And Norton appeared back on the same program, and Amsterdam tried to...
That's a second one?
Yeah, there's a second interview last night, I believe.
Okay.
And you see in that interview again, Amsterdam tried to, help him negotiate a certain part. Not necessarily to say, oh, I give up or whatever, but, in some cases putting words in his mouth to go down a certain path, and Norton wouldn't even bite. Right?
They're trying to help Norton by telling him to say presentable things.
And he wouldn't even bite. And in one case, Norton didn't even understand the question and start answering, of course, misinterpreted. I can't remember what was the particular thing about getting back the seats from the RDC. And Norton interpreted getting back the seats as getting back the people who sitting in the seat. And I don't think he's doing very well, and I don't think he realizes it. and so many people are saying it to him, and I don't know, but one of the reasons why we're talking about this is because we all accept that the PNC is a historic party.
Yeah, you can't.
And you don't want to see.
No. I don't think the PPP leadership would want the PNC
no,
to
the
disappear.
PPP leadership has actually said that they prefer to deal with the PNC
right.
than to deal with the current leader of the opposition.
Anyone, I never had any relation with the PNC. I grew up as a musician with the PNC harassing me. And I'm going to tell you, I have gelled with some of their leaders who are all right people.
Yeah.
And they're far better than the bunch you find in AFC. And oh my, AFC was a disaster. There are better people in the PNC from the beginning in 1957 than you'll ever find in the AFC.
Yeah, because the AFC fooled all of us, you know. And let me say this.
I can ask operators if the AFC fooled them. The AFC fooled you?
I was in the AFC from the beginning. AFC didn't even have a name. AFC wasn't launched.
Foundation member.
Right. And what attracted, I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about what I see when people came to the AFC. What attracted people to the AFC more than the character of the leaders? People didn't even stop to check the character of the leaders. AFC had a symbolism. AFC represented something, a dream that Guyanese people wanted to hold on to. And I think people came to the AFC to chase a dream.
Yeah.
And many of us who were there, we sold a dream to people. And people bought the dream. And I don't even think that even the PNC up now that link up with the AFC, I don't even think they understood the depth to which people had this dream of the AFC. That symbolism, and that is a symbolism that won in 2015
it was a natural outcome of a country just having PPP, PNC.
Yeah.
And then these very fashionable, charismatic men emerge without any baggage. And people say, oh man, give them a chance, man. The man is two good lawyers. Look, you got Ramaya on them people, man. Give them people a chance. The promised things. Give them a chance to
And what the AFC was successful with also was bringing out a new breed of politicians, people who don't have any family history in politics.
I forget to mention, I hope Nigel don't take any exception. I didn't mention his name. I think he was an attraction.
Yeah, Nigel, surely.
One of the biggest attractions.
Yeah, and AFC was successful in bringing out new people, a new breed of politicians who were not contaminated in the current political architecture, and that created a dream. It created a symbolism that Guyanese people wanted. And I saw that when you go to do activist work in communities, you go into virgin communities. And when you go into the PPP dominated area, people look at you suspiciously, and as soon as you say you're from the AFC, they call you. And they say, come, and they sit down and they have a discussion with you. Some of them would say to you, plain, I'm still voting for the PPP, but we like you, we like what you're doing, we like your party. So there was a reception of that nature. And then when you go into PNC communities, you had the similar reception. And so when we sat down to strategize and we realized that people like us, but they're still not saying they're going to vote for us, Kemraj Ramjitan came up with a concept called flaking off. Say, here, look, we understand that these people are deep set in the old party. Let's just go to these communities, and in a group of 20, let's just try to flake off 2 and 3. And when you across the country, when you add up the little that you're flaking off, we are going to fare well in the grand scheme of things. And I saw that with my own eyes in the AFC. I saw that. And I think that is the dream that people bought into. But when the AFC got into office...
But the AFC leadership the LDC leadership said, look, we could use this dream. We could use this dream body and propel ourselves in power
Yeah.
and do we think. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, and as soon as they got into
As
power,
you actually said, they fooled them. I know
yeah,
they
as
fooled
soon
me.
as they got into power, they begin to unmask themselves. They begin to unmask themselves. And you mentioned an article I wrote.
But I'm coming to that.
And
Talk about the
in that article
about not giving
was
people
my
jobs.
first disappointment with the AFC. And I let them know. They know that wasn't anything strange. It was my first biggest disappointment because just before you come in,
Yeah, go on.
imagine you taking power from a party that was in power for 23 years. It therefore means among your ranks are people who are in the wilderness for 23 years. Right? People who are in the wilderness for 23 years. I saw people who left themselves undone, children unattended, to come and help to put the AFC in power. When you got into power, you didn't have any plans for those people. You think, and as I wrote, and I stand by this, that many of the people who were hired in the through the AFC or ministers thing, they came to AFC meetings, executive meetings, and cry. And I'm not talking about.
I can tell you what.
This is not
I can tell you one situation I had.
I am not using literary language here. I am being actual. I am being factual. People cried like tears coming down their eyes, how they're bad and they want this and they're not getting nothing and they were compassionate hires.
Listen. You wrote in Monday's column, please get Monday's column, about how the AFC treated the second tier leaders who wanted jobs. Beverly Alert is in the leadership of the AFC. If you're listening to this program, watching this program, tell Beverly Alert I said this. And she cannot even dare think of suing me. She can't dare think because I sat in front of her and made representation in the downstairs flat of the AFC head office on Railway Embankment. I approached Beverly Alert with a number of young second tier leaders and say, you have to give these people jobs. And while she was talking, I was telling to them, look, tell Miss Alert what area you can function in. Beverly Alert, you hear the name? And I met on my initiative, because she was always been a big one and Cathy used right-hand lady, that to get jobs for these people. So what Craig wrote, excuse me, last Monday about they not giving people jobs, I went to Beverly Alert for these people that fought day and night for the AFC to be in power. And then something happened to me. Beverly Alert never acted on it.
She couldn't.
Then something happened to me. I went to Survival Supermarket. That time I used to shop at Survival Supermarket because I lived at Torkine and there was no massive supermarket. And I saw a lady that was a devout campaigner for the AFC, an Amerindian woman, die hard. Those people brought the AFC in power. And she was a cashier at Survival. And I said, what happened? And she said, Mr. Kissoon, I can't get a job. I asked all these people, some of them don't want to speak to me. I can't get to see them. That woman ended up as a cashier. Look, PNC, PPP, WPA, the United Force of Peter de Gaulle, every major party you can think of, including WIN, yeah, I'm saying WIN, none of them have a quota of people within their womb that are psychologically ugly as the former AFC leadership.
Yeah. And that thing hurt me to this day. So when I go bump on Facebook and I see David Patterson talking about how the PPP is treating the crossovers, I think he take a swipe at me by talking about somebody who got column inches, right?
Obviously, it has to be you.
And get flunky work in the PPP. David Patterson is the last person that should talk about these things. David Patterson shouldn't even mention those things, because when he was in power, he left his comrades to die in the streets. He left his comrades who fought alongside him to die in the streets. You hear what I'm saying? People who come, I could call names. I could call names.
Once is not libelous.
No, for example. Let me
if you send John Jones to him and he didn't bother to follow up with John Jones, how is that libelous?
No. Let me know. John Jones didn't give me permission to think. So that is it John Jones I'm protecting.
But John Jones could say, man, why you call my name?
Exactly, not David Patterson. So let me don't go down that the thing. But all I am saying is that these guys feel bad for people who cross over. And let me say something, let me repeat something that I have in my column. When the AFC got into power, the AFC went into power and became comfortable with the people that were left there by the PPP. They just got comfortable. They didn't look around for anything. They didn't look for anybody to watch their back. They didn't mix in anybody. They didn't transfer. They didn't move around. I'm never going to be an advocate for firing people when you get into power.
You can't
just
do
because
they belong to the other
I am
side.
not an advocate for that. But
you can't put people in the breadline.
Exactly. So I'm not an advocate for that. But then if somebody was on the political list and they're in a sensitive position, the least you could do is move them around, transfer them, send them somewhere else. Don't deny them their income, right? But there are things you can do. They did nothing. They went and sat just like that. And they provided the very few jobs they provided were low-level jobs. So, and now what they're doing, and the result of that is that they end up out of government. So what they're doing, Freddie, is asking the PPP to take the crossovers, lock, stock, and barrel, and put them in sensitive state positions, not knowing for sure if these people come as a setup. Suppose these people come as a Trojan horse. I don't believe they do, right? But suppose that is the case. It's best if Finale step aside and put Granger to sit down there. Because if you're going to take all the Granger people...
That's a terrible analogy.
No, I know, I'm just being ridiculous because that is how ridiculous Pato and the others are. You take Figueira, Bond, all these people, myself, all these people, and just put them in sensitive state position. It's like you putting back Granger's people all around it's best you bring Granger and run the country, because Granger country you go in and run, putting back Granger. These people gotta incrementally be released into the system. People have to form relationships and all of that. You didn't just come and talk about crossover. Patterson didn't even provide opportunities for people who labored.
Do you know?
Much less to come now and talk about crossover and what opportunity they get. Pato, rest yourself, yeah?
Do you know?
Sit down and rest yourself, Pato.
Do you know I spoke to David Patterson about a job? Now you say you don't want to call names. Remember, you're an economist, I'm a historian. I like call names, so it goes into the history books and people do research and they come up with these names. I am calling the name Leon Hunt. Leon Hunt, fine, young AFC fanatic. The AFC got into power and I asked David Patterson for a job for Leon Hunt. I could understand him, he don't want to call him. I am calling him. I know the relation I have with Leonard Hunt. He wouldn't come to me and say, "Funny why you call my name." I asked David Patterson for a job for Leonard Hunt, and David Patterson said, "Fine." When Leonard Hunt got the job offer, you're not going to believe this was, 5 years ago. What was the salary? I think in Hindu terms, I don't know, you born and you live among Hindu, you born in Bobbies and live among. They had a Hindu club called Jankilar.
Jankilar, yeah.
If you see
That
this,
is all they do. That
if
is
you see
the,
this Jankilar chopper, they were offering Hunt
that's the entirety of the...
$52,000 a
Yeah,
month.
yeah.
And Hunt came to me and said, Freddie, you should see what Patterson offering me.
Yeah.
I can't live on the thing. He never sought to give the guy, don't mind he have no big qualification, but that Jankilar job.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you had a guy that Dominique Gaskin, stalwart, made a driver in the Ministry of Business or what have you. I don't want to get on this program and talk about my own personal thing, but look at my wife.
Yeah.
My wife was harassed out of Go Invest, and when they came to power, Dominique Gaskin put his guy as chief of Go Invest, and nobody ever
these
talked
guys,
to me about my wife.
These guys got shut them out and
They're
sit down.
terrible
And
people,
I am
man.
telling the voting public already banished David Patterson, and this might be the
But why
last
are
time. This might be the last time I ever mention his name, because it's not worthy of mention anymore in our political space. These guys. Look, Freddie, are probably too emotional to speak, but I am telling you, it lacerated my psyche to such an extent that I still haven't recovered from what they did. You hear what I'm saying? I still have not recovered. Now, let me tell you.
Well, let me go beyond you. You may recover. I will not recover for what the AFC did. I couldn't get back my job at UG. Cambridge Ramshaw tell a guy Norman Brown in the UK. You must know Norman Brown. Freddie was annoyed with me because he can get back a job at UG. I was the Minister of Education. Look how my wife, look at Go Invest.
Yeah.
My wife was the most senior person at Go Invest. Never talked to me, said, Freddie, what about your wife?
Yeah.
I am saying, sorry to cut you, I think I'm not the best analyst in the world. I don't think I'm the best academic in Guyana. But I think I'm a good, competent academic. I'm a good, competent analyst. And I am saying, of all the parties from the 60s right up to 2026, including when none of them have produced the kind of people that the AFC leadership produced in terms of nasty psychological makeup. None. AFC is the worst.
Let me tell you, when AFC won,
politics produced.
let me tell you how naive I was. When the AFC won, right? When I learned that the APNU AFC won the election, when I learned of it, my biggest fear at the time, that's how naive I was. My biggest fear at the time. Why don't you say stupid? Probably stupid too.
Moronic? Imbecilic?
All right. Just check yourself right there. So
yes, I was moronic, imbecilic for campaigning for them.
So when the AFC just won, and again I'm saying the PNC is its own creature, and I'm not even commenting on the PNC, right? I was concerned about the behavior of the AFC, and that was my, thing. And when they won, after coming out, well, AFC was only 9 years old at the time, but they also represented part of the opposition that was in the wilderness for 23 years. So it wouldn't be an inaccurate statement to say that, even though AFC was only 9 years old. The representation, what they represent, is coming out of the wilderness from 23 years of thing. And I thought that when the AFC won, after coming out of the wilderness, they are going to be giving out jobs willy-nilly, and I said, oh shoot, because sometimes in the campaign you get close to somebody and you might end up appointing them to a place where there is a misfit and they don't fit in, and just because the camaraderie and so on. And I said, oh shoot, by the time this government settled in, I got saved the AFC from this, because I thought it was natural. You come in, after thing, you want your people to feel a refreshing, and so on. So I said here, I link up with a couple other second-tier leaders. And I said, here we're going on. Let's build some dossier of people. Let's understand what they like to do, what are their dreams, what are their qualifications, where they want to fit in, how they see themselves in the future, and so on. And when these guys settle in and they start looking for people to appoint, that we also already have a dossier, so you reduce the chances of putting square peg in round holes. Because I thought that that is only natural. So I went ahead and got this thing done. You know how far I went, Freddie? Because sometimes you're in an organization with people and you don't really know their true circumstance. I went to a lot of people's home and see the condition they were living in, understand how many children they got. And so it was in my mind. I knew who was struggling, I knew who was punishing, I knew who left all on the line to come out and campaign for the AFC. And back home, the children had nothing and had to butt around for things.
I know all of that.
I knew all of that. And I took all of that into consideration. I had in my mind who is going to have priorities for job and all of that.
Signal our time
and these people didn't want to hear anything about it.
Our operator signal our time is come. But I tell you this, Leonard, Craig, I'm much older than you. I'm in my 70s. So I would have been a teenager when Peter DeGar was in the United Force. I have seen them all. Democratic Labor Movement of Paul, Tennessee, rebirth of the United Force. Other parties come up on the scene. Llewellyn John formed his party. Anug in 2020. I don't think any party was capable of producing that kind of sinister mind that the AFC had. I'm going to end on this program because I consulted lawyers and they say she can't sue me. So Dr. Raquel Thomas cannot sue me because I'm not saying anything at all about Dr. Raquel Thomas. But when the AFC was meeting to select their ministers, they called Dr. Raquel Thomas on the phone and offered her the Ministry of the Environment. I campaigned with the AFC. I never ever, for all the years the AFC was, never saw anybody named Dr. Raquel Thomas, never saw her interfacing with the AFC.
At the time, I never knew who she was.
And they called Dr. Raquel Thomas and offered her the Ministry of the Environment. Now, she cannot sue me. I'm not saying anything with her. I am talking about what the AFC did. The AFC called her. I stopped right there. But think of how they could do, and guess what were in the room? Die-hard AFC second-tier leaders who were in that room. Michael Carrington, Virginia Cesar, Marlon Williams, Trevor Williams, yourself, and they just bypass all of you and call Dr. Raquel Thomas. I mean, what kind of people? If you believe in God, did God create these people? On that note, we have to leave. This was the Freddie Kissoon show with co-host Leonard Craig for Wednesday, June the 10th, 2026. We're coming to you in close physical proximity of the iconic Kissoon Bridge in the Botanic Gardens. People tend to like when Craig and I are talking. We get high viewership. So we may do